It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight: government threatens doctors. Hunger cripples a LUSAKA family. Electoral expert concerned with threats on lawyer John SANGWA'S life. In international news, DR Congo's Mount NYIRAGONGO eruption causes thousands to flee. And in sports news, Zambia's celebrated golfer MADALITSO MUTHIYA shines at the just-ended golf tournament.
The much-awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are: can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates: 28th to 29th May 2021. Time: 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges: 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic bank account number 913000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people said, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello once again, the news in detail. A family of 9 in Lusaka's Chainda compound in Munali constituency is struggling to cope with life amid the escalating cost of living. Gladys tells Camnet TV News that ever since she started having problems with her legs, life has become unbearable. She laments that her children have been compelled to become guardians, thus making them victims of stolen childhood. The children have not been able to go to school owing to the inability to pay a 20 kwacha at Family Legacy School and have resorted to picking plastic bottles for survival. We have more in this report.
At a time when political leaders are busy flashing money to win the support of the people ahead of the August 12 general election, one could only hope it could rain on this family of 9 in Lusaka's Chainda compound in Munali constituency. Several sustainable development goals are being defied in this household. These include SDG 1 on ending poverty, SDG 2 on ending hunger, 3 on good health and well-being, and 4 on inclusive quality education. For SDG 1 and 2, the family has been struggling to meet 3 meals a day. And on SDG 3 on health, this woman has not been able to access proper treatment and her condition has been deteriorating to the extent that she could not work anymore, as she narrates.
Kuma hospital vapima no matendari yonse vantumiza pa general no matendari yonse endana ku UTH nafika na kweve ati mulipa matendari yonse mulichabe bwino sonde wane na bwera nankalira baka kufika pano so nthawe yamene na dwala yakwana 6 years so tona tutuwana mukudoba vima plastic tunsimbi bagulisa vatunga tunsapato kasista kake nakeve kamangako sisi so chabe maneighbors naveve vatipasako twakudya ndiye mwene tinkhalira ngati kulibe tagona so chabe
So
kuti visile vikwatiwa mdala ninadwalira uke mmanja mwawo tili pamozi vanabwera kambatisanga nkena munthu olemala afuna kukwatira mkazi wamene ali chabe bwino no uleso osebenza kuti muyende musebenza munamizira mendo kuti mudwala nalemanamo kuti tinize kudyesane singazidyesa akiti nimwakiti.
her children have not been able to fully concentrate on their education as they have to strike a balance between education and meeting household needs. Worse still, their inability to pay 20 kwacha requirement for the 4 of them at Family Legacy School has compelled them to become out-of-school children. This 13-year-old boy has to lead the way in supporting the family in picking plastic materials for sale to available buyers as well as repairing shoes.
Tunga sapato tanizira kwa mami ngatungako ngatanipasa ko 20 kwacha 10 kwacha taikapaya nyumba 10 kwacha takula bakuki vene mami swa sevenza dwala mendo anangala nkudala so ine na mkulu wanga niseti malanganira ngatunga ko sapato kuskulu atipisha kuna ndrama ya kuskulu atikaripira ndipe zambo enda ngati sinalipire kuboenda
Zingati
ma 20 kwacha.
The neighbors of this family are asking the government and concerned citizens to come to their aid.
Shapati mondanze kukulwana kuskulu kapena kuli munda mnanga pese kwali willing kwapeka kuti kapena ku clinic iliko pamamba ndo chekisa komendo manezo na jailia venake kusevenza na kujesa familia yao chira kunkara se mone wangalira paja
so that vana kupunzira vana mklasi wangangale na nzeru vaende vakasakire kova kudya vakangala ku school futi vangala na ija kuti kunyumba tizadye chani so yamine ija futi mwana mklasi amangala na nzeru so chikulu cha betipempako kuti ngati ni wa MP ni wa president ni wa first lady vayangane patitandizireko ndiye mafuta meti mafesinga.
Contrary to the aspirations of SDGs, it must be noted that there are many people being left behind, just like this family. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Public Service Management Division PSMD Permanent Secretary Boniface Chimbali has warned that disciplinary action will be meted on all the doctors that will be seen protesting on Monday, the 24th of May 2021, as announced by the Resident Doctors Association of Zambia last week. Addressing the media Sunday, Mr. Chimbali notes that government has been on firm ground in making sure that the demands brought forward by the doctors are met in and as when government can. He explains that among the demands is that government should employ 500 doctors, a situation he says is not attainable at the moment, adding that the Ministry of Health does not have the funds to pay the new workers. He has since directed the Ministry of Health to ensure that the doctors report for work normally. More in this report.
The Resident Doctors Association of Zambia last week threatened government that it will protest on Monday, 24th May 2021, if government fails to meet their 4 major demands, among them paying off their salary arrears, settling in allowances, as well as employing 500 doctors that are languishing in the streets. Resident Doctors Association President Dr. Brian Samba says this has been necessitated after many failed attempts to negotiate with government.
Thing has been agreed upon as of today. Therefore, our stance still remains as RDZ with the membership that come Monday 24th this month, we are going on go-slow, and during this period we expect that only emergencies will be attended to. The rest of the services will have to be catered for by other care providers.
And one may wonder, what is it that these resident doctors are demanding?
We are demanding for employment of the more than 500 doctors, which is going to lessen the stress which is impacting on the doctors. You know, we've got places where there's just one doctor working alone. How can that doctor cater for the whole community? So we want patients to receive quality patient care.
In response to this, government, through a press briefing, and the Public Service Management Division Permanent Secretary, Boniface Chimbwali, has wondered why the doctors are threatening to protest when government has been consistent and committed in dismantling staff data, especially in the health sector.
Now, these are the 4 demands. When you look at all these things, from just the preamble I've given, there's no issue we have not touched. So what is the motive? First, why people should choose not to report for work or report for work but fail or refuse, willfully refuse to attend to patients, particularly during this period. We don't see any justification. We don't see any justification, at least from the demands which we have received. We have not received any other demand other than of the 4.
Speaking at the same event, Labour Commissioner Givens Montengwa says it is against the labour laws for the doctors to strike.
The consequences that will follow, one of which is if any person incites another person to proceed on a go-slow or strike, a police officer under that section is allowed to arrest that person without warrant. It also stipulates that the salary for those days that this person would have proceeded on this illegal strike or go-slow will not be paid to that particular person. So that's the law as it sits. So there is no single time that the doctors will have the leverage or right or privilege to proceed on a go-slow, no matter what the situation is.
For now, we'll wait if indeed the doctors will protest through a sit-in protest on Monday. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the Health Professions Council of Zambia, HPCZ, has warned that it will not hesitate to cancel the registration and practicing certificate and remove from the register respectively if a health practitioner is found guilty of contravening the Act or the Code of Ethics by protesting on Monday. HPCZ Registrar Walia Bwalia explains that the Council has been informed that the Ministry of Health has already started addressing these issues raised by the Resident Doctors Association of Zambia. Mr. Walia adds that it will be unacceptable for the affected doctors to pursue their planned go-slow, especially at this point when the health system is already stretched by COVID-19 and effects of other diseases the country has continued to grapple with. HPCZ has therefore urged the Resident Doctors Association of Zambia members to call off their planned go-slow and allow amicable dialogue to prevail.
HPCZ will not hesitate to invoke Section 14, 19 and 24 of the Health Professions Act number 24 of 2009, which gives the Council powers to cancel the registration and practicing certificate and also to remove a practitioner from the register if found guilty of contravening the Act or the Code of Ethics. The Health Professions Council of Zambia has been informed that the Ministry of Health has already started addressing these issues raised by the RDSZ. So it would be unacceptable for the affected doctors to pursue their planned go-slow, especially at this point when the health system is already stretched by the COVID-19 effects and also by other diseases that the country has continued to grapple with. Already we have seen in the past 2 days that the country has recorded an increased number of COVID-19 cases. We wish to urge RDSZ members to call off their planned go-slow and allow amicable dialogue to prevail. Withholding labor conflicts with the primary role of a doctor, consequently breaches the national health care standard principles which demand for uninterrupted provision of quality healthcare services to the public.
Opposition Party of National Unity and Progress PNUP President Haivi Hamidudu has called on political parties to avoid political rallies if they value human life. Ms. Hamidudu says political leaders who care for citizens will adhere to the set health standards in the COVID-19 era. He notes that it is illogical for political parties to put the lives of the very people they want to govern at risk. Mr. Hamidudu has since called on the authorities to put guidelines in writing so that no political party has an advantage over the other. Recently, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, discouraged political parties from holding political rallies and large gatherings, advising them to use other methods to send their political messages across.
We have no choice but to do that because we cannot risk the lives of the very people we claim to want to save. So time has come for us to provide leadership. And this is a test for all of us that if we really love our people, we must provide the leadership. And leadership is about preserving life. And therefore, all of us must do that. We as a political party, we are going to abide by the COVID guidelines, smaller gatherings where we can manage to, observe social distancing.
2021 presidential aspirant Kalabi Masuwa says he is consulting with his lawyers on the way forward after being disqualified from the presidential race by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ. Speaking in an exclusive phone interview with Camnet TV News, Mr. Kalabi explains that he managed to garner the 1,000 supporters asked by the ECZ, only to be disqualified on account that he only managed to present below 950 supporters. Mr. Kalabi has meanwhile acknowledged that the people being reported of being stranded in Lusaka are indeed his supporters, though political forces are wrongly portraying the matter. He explains that efforts were being made to transport the people, but even before being repatriated, some political parties jumped on board to claim that the people were abandoned, while the same political party grabbed his supporters' voters' cards and other documents. The Prison Care and Counseling Association, PRISCA, says modalities have been put in place to ensure that people in lawful custody exercise their right to vote in this year's general election. PRISCA Executive Director Godfrey Malembeka says submissions were gotten from various stakeholders by a technical committee established by the Electoral Commission of Zambia on how the plight of inmates will be safeguarded. PRISCA is among 18 civil society organizations that have benefited from the United Nations Development Programme's $17.4 million grant towards voter education and ensuring an inclusive election. And Mr. Malembeka says 26 television sets will be bought and distributed to districts where inmates will be voting to allow them to follow campaign proceedings.
The modalities are already done, and the ECZ actually put in place a technical committee that received submissions from inmates themselves. We visited 30 major correctional centers that submitted on how they want to be treated, because they are adults. They are not juveniles that needs to be represented by us outside here. But we also went further to get submissions from LAS, get submissions from judiciary, submissions from churches, CSOs, submissions from chief law enforcement agencies. They were compiled by our chief compiled, and they were here, Zambia Law Development Commission. Even Parliament considered that. So one good thing is that what has happened today will empower some of us, like PRISCA, because we're going to procure 26 big television sets and radios, distribute them to those 5 provinces that we are given, so that inmates are able to follow the campaign trail outside. That's where we want to be, and that is why we want to work with you, the media. We'll be meeting the Commissioner General to agree and ask him to allow us work with all of you.
This is Camnet TV Main News, not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are: can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates: 28th to 29th May 2021. Time: 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges: 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
It's been 365 days of bringing news on your screens. 365 days of giving you nothing but factual stories. 365 days of giving you those breaking stories, and 365 days of giving you balanced and unbiased news. The last 365 days has made Camnet Television as the most trusted TV channel in current affairs. We together look forward to another 365 days. Remember, Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Following intra-party disputes that emerged following the adoption process, the Operation Young Vote has urged politicians to be respecting the views of primary structures. OIV Executive Director Ges Nyirenda's comments come in the wake of the move taken by those who have not been adopted by the ruling Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development to contest elections as independents. And Mr. Nyirenda says the move could also be a ploy by the two political parties to split votes. He has, however, condemned the act of contesting as an independent parliamentary candidate based on the fact that one was not adopted, saying it amounts to a lack of morals in politics.
Overnight, sleepless nights, and because they're strategizing on how they could, split votes. It could be some people in the opposition sponsoring those in the ruling party, or it could be those in the ruling party wanting to paint a picture that, look, we are so popular, and then even if anything wrong happens, they would still say, no, look at the people, they were following us, and we had even more camps supporting us. That could also be a strategy. But I think what is very important is that political parties must respect the views of the primary structures. When a primary structure says, this is our candidate, because this is a person they have lived with, this is a person, we know that there's a lot of corruption going on. But again, there must be a way of detecting corruption so that the corrupt are not given an opportunity to be in leadership. So, yes, the fact that we have so many candidates, and these candidates saying, no, now I'm going independent and supporting this same leader of this political party, it does not work like that. In fact, principally, those people, they are not principled. If you are going independent, go independent, because independent means you are independent of any of the political parties. Now where you are going to say, I'm standing independent, but I'm still supporting this man or this woman for presidency, then you are joking. Yes, you may have the support, but essentially you are joking. And those are the people that even if they win, they fail to perform in parliament, because then they will have no local standard.
GEAR's Initiative Executive Director McDonald Chipenzi has charged that the directive by the ruling PF Lusaka leadership to its members to treat lawyer John Sangwa as a political opponent wherever he is found is unfortunate and a threat to democracy, human rights and civic space. Mr. Chipenzi tells Camnet TV that the associated threats directed to State Counsel John Sangwa from some PF members are signs of a shrinking democratic space in the country. Counsel Sangwa has been keen on pursuing President Edgar Lungu on his bid to stand again, which he says is illegal as he has already served 2 terms. Mr. Chipenzi notes that a threat on John Sangwa is a threat on all defenders of the Constitution, rule of law and equality before the law and human rights in Zambia. Mr. Chipenzi says the real battle will be in the ballot on the 12th of August general election, and that will be where the true identification of the real political opponents and not John Sangwa will be.
I want to assure the people of Zambia that those that are defending the Constitution, the rule of law, equality before the law, and indeed the human rights, shall not stand akimbo when one of them is being harassed and intimidated. We stand hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, and shoulder to shoulder with State Counsel Sangwa. And no intimidation, no labeling will ever deter us in our determination to ensure that those who have served this country more than twice shall not be allowed to hold office for the 3rd time. This campaign is not for John Sangwa. This campaign is not for any other grouping. This campaign is for the preservation of our Constitution.
The Ministry of Tourism, in partnership with African Parks, has released 3 cheetahs into the Bangweulu wetlands in Lavushimanda district of Muchinga province. The 3 were restocked from South Africa and kept in a holding boma at Chikuni, while 2 others are yet to be released. And speaking during the release of the cheetahs, Ministry of Tourism Director, Department of National Parks and Wildlife, Chuma Simukonda, said the restocking of cheetahs will enhance tourism in the Bangweulu Wetlands Game Management Area. Dr. Simukonda has appealed to the local people to work closely with African parks and government to develop the tourism sector. And Chief Kabinga of the Bisa people called on African parks to ensure that the locals benefit. The traditional leader also called on the local people to support the project and that will bring development through wildlife-based tourism. And he appealed to African parks to consider constructing a school in Chikuni area in the Bangweulu wetlands so that children can have access to education. And Bangweulu Wetlands Park Manager Phil Miona has pledged to work closely with the local people. The event was also attended by Senior Chief Kopa, Chief Chitambo, Chief Kabinga, Chief Nsamba, Chief Bwaliamponda, and Lavushimanda District Commissioner Yvonne Chisenga.
The introduction of cheetah in the Bangweulu will certainly attract a lot of tourists to come into this area. People do not want just to see one species of animal. They want to see a diversity of animals. And introducing cheetah is making this system to be rich and making it also to be attractive for tourism development.
Of bigger things that's going to happen to our communities and that we're going to financially benefit in this area of what is going to happen today.
The introduction of the cheetahs in our ecosystem, we very much hope that it will boost our revenue collection. So I call upon the community to be vigilant in the conservation of so that it will add the beauty to our already existing natural resources. Once again, I thank
BIZ Campaign Chief Executive Officer Edgar Ngoma has charged that Zambia's economic recovery program being implemented by government will only yield the intended results if consumers begin to support and buy products produced in Zambia. Mr. Ngoma says it will make no sense if the economic recovery program goes without local support. He, however, challenged the local producers to ensure their products are of value for money and meet the required international standards.
So the manufacturing base in Zambia can only grow to the level that government wants if only we, the locals, support this noble cause. This is the only way we will see economic growth in Zambia. Today, the kwacha dollar is grappling just because most of the goods that are consumed, goods and services that are consumed in Zambia are of foreign in nature. It would help so much if for once, each time we walk into these chain stores, when we want to buy anything, we think local first. All we are saying is in order for us to fulfill the economic recovery plan government has put in place, we need to be competitive. There's no blind protectionism. We want value for money goods.
This is Camnet TV Main News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with more news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF have placed highly on the diversification of the agriculture sector to ensure national food security and increased exports of key crops. Vote for President Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha. Lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010. Or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 913000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that will give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
It's been 365 days of bringing news on your screens. 365 days of giving you nothing but factual stories. 365 days of giving you those breaking stories, and 365 days of giving you balanced and unbiased news. The last 365 days has made Camnet Television as the most trusted TV channel in current affairs. We together look forward to another 365 days. Remember, Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and we now look at some international news. In international news, Goma's sky turned a fiery red after the Democratic Republic of Congo's Mount NYIRAGONGO erupted for the first time in nearly 2 decades on Saturday. The government has launched an evacuation plan for the eastern city of Goma, which is home to nearly 2 million people. So far, it is not known if there are any casualties, but locals reported the shocking scenes. Taking mattresses and belongings, thousands of residents fled towards the border with Rwanda in the east hours before the government announced the evacuation plan. Rwandan authorities said about 3,000 people already had officially crossed from Goma. Rwanda's state media said people would be accommodated in schools and places of worship. Other residents fled to higher grounds to the west of the city. The last time the volcano erupted in 2002, hundreds were killed.
Goma's sky turns a fiery red after Congo's Mount NYIRAGONGO erupted for the first time in nearly 2 decades on Saturday. The government's launched an evacuation plan for the eastern city of Goma, which is home to roughly 2 million people. So far, it's not known if there are any casualties. This resident says, I saw how the volcano was invading us. It was around 6 p.m. we saw the fire coming towards the hill and we were all surprised. At 7 p.m. the situation worsened. We saw the lava going to Rwanda, but afterwards we saw that it was going to Majengo. That's why people were panicking and they didn't know what to do. We didn't expect to see such eruption. We thought it was going to throw lava, but we see how it progresses little by little. Taking few belongings with them, so far about 3,000 residents are believed to have fled. Many are crossing the border into neighbouring Rwanda, the government said. Residents are fearful of a repeat of the past. The last time the volcano erupted, hundreds were left dead and more than 100,000 people lost their homes. This Goma resident says, I'm so worried. I lived through this volcanic eruption in 2002. The volcano had devastated all our homes and all our possessions. That's why I'm scared again this time. Rwanda's state media said people would be accommodated in schools and places of worship. Other residents have fled to higher grounds to the west of the city.
A somber day characterized Nigeria during the funeral of top-ranking Army Commander Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru on Saturday. The burial in Abuja comes a day after he and 10 other officers died when their plane crashed in bad weather. It was the third military air disaster this year, and the Army posted videos on social networks of the service attended by political and military leaders at the National Mosque. The aircraft went down trying to land at the Kaduna International Airport due to the inclement weather, the armed forces said. President Muhammadu Buhari did not attend the burial, which was criticized on social media. Army Chief of Staff Atahiru was appointed by Buhari last January in a shake-up of the senior command to better fight surging violence and a more than decade-long jihadist insurgency. Atahiru died as news emerged that Nigeria's Boko Haram jihadist leader Abu Bakar Shekau had himself been seriously wounded or possibly killed after clashes with a rival Islamic State-affiliated faction.
A somber day in Nigeria during the funeral of top-ranking Army Commander Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru on Saturday. The burial in Abuja, a day after he and 10 other officers died when their plane crashed in bad weather. President Buhari not in attendance, which was widely criticised on social media.
Yesterday, 21st day of May 2021, was a very sad day for the armed forces. One of our finest and best pilots was conveying him along with the entourage. After landing at Kaduna International Airport, the cold hands of death, which manifested in the stormy weather, ended that journey. The war against insecurity must be won. Truly must be won. All we ask of you is to keep praying for us.
Atahiru died as news emerged that Nigeria's Boko Haram jihadist leader Abu Bakar Shekau had himself been seriously wounded or possibly killed after clashes with a rival Islamic State-allied faction. Atahiru had once been in charge of leading the frontline offensive against Shekau in 2017.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, Chilanga Golf Club this past week hosted the Prudential Classic over a 3-day event that brought to the field a number of participants from the junior, amateur and professional divisions. The PGAZ has been taken off in a fashion like no other in the history of local Zambian golf, having various sponsors wanting to come on board for future events to come, one of them being the Magnum Security Classic that will be held this coming Friday to Sunday at the Chanama Hills Golf Club. Taking part in the event was Zambia's #1 ranking professional golfer Madaliso Muthiya, who once again placed his name on the trophy. We have details in this report.
The Prudential Classic Golf Tournament was held at Chilanga this past week over a period of 3 days between the 14th and the 16th, which saw players from across the country participate in the event. The event saw juniors, amateurs and professionals go at it for 54 holes to claim the top spot of each division. The 5-time PGAZ tournament winner, Madaliso Muthiya, had no reservations going into the tournament with an opening 5-under round on the par 70, securing a 7-shot lead from his nearest challenger, Sydney Wemba, who opened with a round of 2 over par to end at 72 gross. Madaliso held the lead for all 3 days, ending his week by finishing 2 under after 54 holes, giving him a 3-shot lead. The touring pro was unable to play one of the events, meaning this would be his 6th victory out of the 7 played with the PGAZ. Wemba came in at 1 over par after 54 holes with the last round score of 2 under, and Gabriel Chibale in 3rd at 4 over. Having his victory announced by an inspired talent.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Prudential Classic 2021. Lucy, I'll hand this over to you. Can you announce our winner? Madaliso Muthiya! On a score of -2.
The champ had this to say.
In 65, yeah, it was a great round. I felt actually I could have shot 9 under, missed a few putts. But the secret was just to be consistent, hit great tee shots, good iron shots and putted well. And I had to make sure, because I know there are a lot of good golfers here. Just wanted to play well so I could give myself this opportunity to be standing here.
What else can you say to encourage the young ones that are up and coming?
Well, first and foremost, this is something that we're working towards, to start seeing an influx of up and coming golfers, and it's indicative of what this platform is actually creating. I know I win quite often, but we want to create a situation where there are more players coming up, so you just don't have me coming up on the podium, you can have many more. A great example is obviously Sydney playing well in Ivory Coast, and you've got Musamba Kapoma shooting some really good rounds of golf today. Benjamin has always been a good golfer, coming from Azubuka from the time he was much younger, and it's just encouraging to see him shoot under par golf. I guess the whole premise of this is to bridge the gap, a generational gap, you know, between the amateurs, juniors and the professionals. So far, so good. I think it's working. We're starting to see the results. There are a lot of good scores coming around, and we can see some of our players playing well internationally.
The question is, will there be a 7th win? Your guess is as good as mine. Answers, though, will be given at the Magnum Security Classic at the Chanama Hills Golf Club this week between the 28th and 30th of May. Michael Chiluba, Camnet TV Sports News, Chilanga.
As we end the news, we take a look at the headlines once again. Government threatens doctors. Hunger cripples a Lusaka family. Electoral expert concerned with threats on lawyer John SANGWA'S life. And in international news, DR Congo's Mount NYIRAGONGO eruption causes thousands to flee. In sports, Zambia's celebrated golfer Madaliso Muthiya shines at the just-ended golf tournament. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Acts 2, verse 38 to 39, and it reads, "Repent, Peter said to them, and be baptized, each of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, for the forgiveness of your sins, and you will receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. For the promise is for you and for your children, and for all who are far off, as many as the Lord our God will call." My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Thank you so much for watching the news. Bye-bye.